Welcome to Awakening Consciously Now as a Leader-preneur. This is a companion conversation to the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur, discovering new levels of spiritually aligned entrepreneurship as a conscious leader in the new world. I am the AliNICOLE. Wow. And once again, I am joined by Brenda Jacobson from awakeningconsciously.com. And we will be further discussing the importance of leaders within the entrepreneurial space to awaken more consciously and leveraging the power of now in order to make a greater impact, because there's nothing like the power of the present moment. And before the close of this session, I will share how you can learn more about the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur experience. And it's facilitated in a private membership Facebook community. And basically, this experience is really about helping others to start a higher level of navigating this journey on what we're calling it's a new adventure of awakening. And this is for them to discover their highest forms of alignment, because alignment trumps everything. And this alignment is about being this conscious leaderpreneur and how to really master that and navigate it at each new phase. We have two publications that we're going to highlight during our time together. And one is Awakening Consciously, Ancient Wisdom for the New World, and that's by Brenda. And I have a publication, Becoming a Consciously Aligned Leader. It's an emerging conscious leader mini handbook for aligning with their next levels of success. And both of these works actually are two of the four requirements for the new awakening journey that Brenda and I are going to take you on. And later I will be sharing another resource of mine to consider. And it also talks about the details, for the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur experience. I'm going to share a little bit about that. So thanks again, Brenda, for collaborating with me on such an important work.
Absolutely. Always, I find every one of these sessions just elevates in vibration for us and for the leaders. So I am always thrilled to join you and collaborate with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And trust me, I'm the one who's really beyond thrilled every time we get together, because there's nothing like mission-minded individuals coming together. And the reason why I emphasize mission-minded, because we hear a lot about like-minded people, and there are a lot of like-minded people, but they think alike and have some values that are the same. But when you can have a mission, like-minded mission oriented individuals, it makes for a better experience, but not only that, a higher conscious experience for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I find in this new energy that those people are just showing up.
They are.
They're showing up. You don't have to go looking for them. Where before, and especially as we raise our frequency, we raise our vibration. Some of the challenges that would come across our radar screen before just aren't showing up anymore. And the people, almost everybody I connect with is that like-minded mission person.
That's right. Exactly. And you see the difference between you connected before with like-minded individuals, but then when that mission-minded energy, it's very, different. It is part more of the awakening core that's taking place, because everyone is waking up from the core of who they are. And when they're waking up from that place, that's that higher source connection, that higher level of consciousness. And then it just brings others into alignment. It's just like tuning into a frequency. And next thing you know, things just start, showing up, and people start showing up. And like you said, it's kind of more effortlessly than, before, when you're being focused on, let me do this and let me try to connect with these individuals. Let me, be
absolutely
intentional in that way. It is a form of intentionality. And we're actually going to talk about that too, because that's, highly important. But conscious intentionality versus just being intentional too is there are two different frequencies as well. So before we, get into doing some real conversation around this topic, I just want to share that there are 3 areas of awakened conscious focus in the now that leaderpreneurs really need to be aware of. They need to put their energy and focus in these 3 core areas. And so since we're talking about the power of now and focusing in the now, so we're going to cover now, meaning no other way. It's a breakdown of that. And then being intentional with a conscious practice. And you and I both have our primary practices that we recommend to most, and mine is intentional journaling, and yours, is primarily meditation. And so, talk a little bit about that. The third area is commit to being an awakened conscious leader and business owner. So we can have some discussions, around just these 3 core areas, because they are very important as it relates to awakening consciously. So I know you would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's time. And these strategies that we're using, I've noticed that they're even changing in the impact and the vibrational frequency, and just the ease and grace that comes along with these things is very different as we evolve.
Absolutely. Because as we evolve, we ascend. And the more we evolve and the more we ascend, we come into that higher, lighter frequency that allows our vibration to be synced up with source on these different levels, which then elevates the consciousness into new states of awareness. And then that's when we learn how to implement and execute accordingly in the most divine fashion. And it demonstrates that you're operating from a conscious way of being. But this conscious way of being is not like what we hear when we look out on the internet, or we see different leaders and different platforms that are talking about consciousness and higher consciousness. What most will come to understand, and you've heard me, speak about this and train on this, but also you alluded to it just a short while ago, is that there are different vibrations and different levels of these contexts. And so we can't just put what we hear traditionally into the same box, into the same frameworks, because though they may sound the same and come from some of the same premise, they have a very different level of frequency, to them. So let's talk quickly about the now energy and being grounded in the power of the present and ascended in the power of the present, and leveraging this acronym that I heard many, many, many years ago for now, that stands for no other way. And there's an urgency that leaderpreneurs need to step into their rightful places in this higher state of awareness and consciousness, and be awakened in the right way to know, I've got to move on this now, not in a hasty way, but just know what their now assignments are and what their now activities are, and why there needs to be no delay. So you want to, speak to any of that?
Yeah, I would say I love the acronym. It is so relevant right now, especially once you become aligned. Your energy is aligned with that higher source. It truly is. When you're working from your rational, logical, the left brain aspect, the energy is more dense, and it's and you've got choices. You take the right path, you take the wrong path. You're allowed to do that. When we get into this higher frequency, it's like that. You said the energy, the vibration is lighter, and there really is no other way. The way is so clearly marked for us. Yes, that there doesn't look like, we always have choice, but there doesn't look like there's any other viable choice that resonates at the level of the one way.
That's right.
And it isn't effort. It's effortless to go down that way. There's no effort. It just, when you get into that aligned energy, the opportunities flow to you, you flow into them. They unfold the way that that source has intended them to. And it just becomes so so easy and so right.
Absolutely. The simplicity of source is what I call it, you know, and you and I have had conversations about that sometimes we have to call on the simplicity of source, because when operating, because you have to think about it, source power, God power, that connection power, however people choose to label that for themselves, is not efforting. It is just creative energy that speaks things into existence, that thinks things into to existence. And we are created in that image, and we have that imprint, that encoding within us. And it's just a matter of continuing to activate it and being consciously aware and awakened to what's happening, not just around us, but within us. And so it actually kind of segues into the second aspect about being intentional with a conscious practice. And so when we're leaders and we are influencers and we're here to make an impact, and especially those who are in the entrepreneurial space, and let's face it, no matter what type of leader you are in this new digital age and era, you are going to find yourself having to be more like an entrepreneur and leverage that entrepreneur and business energy and business spirit. For sure, it definitely is the second coming of the leaderpreneur aspect, of the leadership aspect, for sure, and just how we show up in our ways of being as service providers. And but getting into that synchronicity is that you have to be intentional, but in a conscious way, a more conscious way. And that means that you need to have conscious practices. And so I'm going to say this, and I want those listening to, when you hear the words journaling and meditation, I want you to actually step outside of everything you've ever known about that, and come into a clean slate. See yourself as a blank slate for a moment. And that you're hearing this, even though you've heard these terms before, you've probably done these or practiced these, but we want to enter into a new vibration of intentionality. So intentional journaling for a specific aspect will need to become a practice. And you're not just journaling from, just writing down what's coming to you, using it as kind of an emotional outlet, which this still applies, but it's just very intentional around being a leaderpreneur and an entrepreneur, a business owner. And as it relates to meditation, I want you to feel into a new dimension of meditation, the simplicity and ease of that process, and what that would entail for you, because it's going to be different, for everyone. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, because our resources and things that we provide bring people into this higher frequency and this higher understanding, and it puts them at a new start, a new adventure, a brand new dawn of a new genesis for what's emerging, and allows people not to come from the premise that they're familiar with. Even if that's been great and it's worked fine, we need to enter into a new place of that. And so now that I've actually said this, stated this, I would like everyone to breathe. Okay. And now with this awareness, integrate yourself back into your known reality, even of what you do know about journaling and meditation. But just stepping outside for just a little bit invites new energy, so that when you bring it to the practices that you're already doing, you can actually be able to benefit from the newness even within that as you start this. So Brenda, we can talk, a little bit about this, but I was guided, I had no intentions of actually doing some type of exercise, around that. And the guidance just led me to go right into that. So, so we can, just have a little conversation, about that, being intentional with conscious practices.
Yeah, I love what you said. I love that. I can just feel the vibration whenever you're talking. I can feel the lightening of the energy around me. So thank you for sharing that.
Welcome.
I love what you said about the new vibration around these common terms that we have used. And often with meditation, people have tried and failed in the old energy. And it has that heaviness to it. And I love that you brought in that this is it's a new world around these, a new vibration to use these in. And the practices are different than we have known them to be. And and they happen so like again, just with that ease and that flow to them. It's not what we, it's not the definition that we're used to for those terms.
Right.
So I really like that you brought that in. Being intentional about them isn't that we have to, it's almost for me with all of these terms that we've used, the new vibration of entrepreneurship, of leadership. These are not the same heavy energy that we're coming out of, or that we have come out of. They're into this new energy, and our being intentional about this is really not having to dictate the how of how these are going, but just be intentional about alignment, about unattaching from that old energy, from connecting with this new energy, from aligning, and doing these intentional practices. That's, if you want to call it the work, I don't find it work, but that's where our effort has to go, is into these practices. Because once you get this alignment working, once you go through
it's a way of being. It's embodiment.
Life unfolds for you. You no longer have to, set your goals and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to achieve this and I'm going to, that has always felt really heavy for me. And I didn't know why until I got into this new energy and thought, oh, now I get why I couldn't participate at that level. I always thought there was something wrong with me because I couldn't.
And there's not. And that's been the misconception really about a lot of things, is that people are feeling blocked and feeling like, okay, either this isn't for me, I'm not doing it correctly, or I know I was given this mission to do these things and they're not moving a certain way. And it's like, no, what it is it is an invitation to consciously ascend. It's an invitation to awaken to the newer context that's saying that there is another way, and it is the way of source in simplicity, and it will unfold in a unique way. And the being intentional, as I was kind of interjecting, is that the being intentional that seems to be the ease of effort, that if we have to apply some effort, the ease of effort in that way, is that it is an embodiment of a way of being. And once it becomes conscious, then it keeps awakening new awarenesses of those higher ascendant states of thinking. And when we say a practice, the practice is just really just your way of being. That's what a practice should be. It should not necessarily be rituals, and even though they may have the rituals or routines within them, but not to the point where the routines start to ruin people because they're so focused on the practice aspect rather than the principles that are at work, like laws within us. And this is where leaders in the leaderpreneurial space have to awaken more consciously in the now to start anchoring and ascending, in this way.
Absolutely. I have to laugh because I get, my messages often come visually, as you know. And as you were talking, I got this vision of a trampoline. Have you ever jumped on a trampoline?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And then gotten off and tried to jump on the ground?
Yeah.
Like, how that is, you jump and you're flying and it's so easy. And then you get off and you try to jump on the ground and you feel like the weight of the world has descended onto you. And that was the vision that I was just given. That's the difference between the energies, is when we get into this aligned energy, this new energy, it's like that ease of just bouncing on the trampoline and everything just becomes so easy and free and fun. And then you try to go back into the old energy and you can hardly even lift your feet off the ground.
You can't. You're right. And if you don't find a way, I have to piggyback on that. That was just such a brilliant
Isn't it funny? I just laugh when these things show up.
Yes, definitely. Because you're in that more awakened energy, right? And so the thing is that what happens a lot of times when people, let's say, they come into a new awareness of something that's more expansive, but then when they go back into their other world, they don't actually carry the frequency and vibration to start leveraging it into the current reality. What happens is, oh, I was here, I was there, I was experiencing this, and now I'm here again. And so I have hope to be able to get back to that, but there's not really the integration in the right way, because even if they try to come and apply certain things from that new energy into the old, but because they're going to leverage it kind of in the same format, because there's not the new levels of comprehension around actually what to do with this energy, then that's where you feel like you're in two different worlds. You are actually in two different worlds, two different planes, and those planes don't coexist, and it's hard to match the information to get the transformation to the manifestation. It's like you go from revelation, and we want to go right to manifestation, but it's like you have to go from the revelation to what actually is going to produce the transformation, then get you into the manifestation in physical format. So
and that's where the daily practice, that's where the intentional practice
absolutely
comes in. That's the benefit of it, right?
Absolutely, because it takes you out, just like the guided exercise that was interjected just a little bit ago, is see yourself as a blank slate. And I love using that. I didn't know I was going to be using that today, but like the guidance brought us to that point, is that it's like you erasing, in a sense, or suspending, if you will, for the moment, what you know about a certain term or practice or whatever, and then coming into this blank slate. So when you come into that blank slate and you just ask, what is this for me? And even if you get no answer at that time, because it's just kind of neutral energy in a new zone where you don't have resistance or any concepts, nothing to break down or biases or anything around that. It's a clean, clear energy. So when you take that, even in the unknowingness of what that means for you, just knowing that, woo, there's another vibration of this. And then you start bringing that back to integrate it into where you are. That's different from saying, whoa, I'm jumping on the trampoline and I'm up in this, this experience. And I come down that I'm trying to do the same thing. And it's like, well, no, because there are two different levels, the ground and the trampoline are two different things. But how do you find a way to have that trampoline energy or that experience and somehow leverage it in your current reality without actually trying to jump in your reality the same way you would be jumping in on the trampoline? So what that could show up as is in a practice where it's like, woo, as I'm doing this, I feel light, like I'm jumping on that trampoline instead of literally jumping up and trying to do, So that's where, going back to what you just said too, it is in the practices and in the intentionality that we start seeing the ease of just everything that we're doing in life. And instead of, trying to make some new information or certain concepts or things, make it work. It's like, it's already at work. But we have to just be more awakened to how is it actually showing up? Because maybe it's showing up in a different way. Maybe it's not showing up in me and my goal setting and all this. Maybe it's showing up in just me taking some time out to be present and receiving insights and wisdom, and then maybe just getting into action based on doing the best next thing. And
absolutely.
Maybe not formulating a plan around it, or just jotting down thoughts, or just however. So the experience will open up to more. And what people will realize, and you've been realizing this more, yourself even more recently, is that, like I said, as things are shifting and changing, is that we're not going to be doing a lot of the things that we just, traditionally, have been doing. The way the energy shows up, it may be something playful. It may be, just it's different for everybody, because one thing I wanted to say, I'm sorry, was that the teachings and different things that we bring forth are not in a lot of how-tos, cookie cutters. It's cookie cutter formats. It's taking people within themselves to bring out the energy and the wisdom that's encoded and it's being extracted, but it's at a higher level too, because we've been taught, well, yes, you know, everything is within, but you notice people are going within, they're journaling, they're meditating, they're doing different practices and things still aren't working. But that's because we haven't caught up with the frequency and the evolution of the planetary shifts of all those things. What vibration do we need to be doing this from? So now it makes sense to people when they hear conversations such as these, that the reason why you're doing these practices that are being recommended by the gurus and their ancient teachings and different things, but we aren't actually leveraging the power of the now frequency of these.
Right.
We're actually still pulling from an ancient frequency, or and not leveraging leveraging those principles as foundations, but what is the actual vibration of it now? That's the state of consciousness that we have to be awakened to, then align with. So let me move on to the third one, because we could be here on this particular one all day for sure. So commit to being an awakened, conscious leader and business owner. So the reason why commitment actually is coming in kind of third, because most will say, well, you need to be committed from the start. Well, here's the deal. You can't fully commit and own to something, or don't need to, until there are a few foundational things that are in alignment. First of all, understanding that the power of the present moment, the now, there is no other way. So you understand that there's the awareness of that. Next level comprehension is that you have to be intentional with a conscious practice. Now we have something we can commit to in terms of the awakening journey, and being able to commit to those things, because that's what's going to help to get you started in awakening to these different levels and states of consciousness in your leadership and entrepreneurship, so that makes you the conscious business owner that you need to be. So there's different levels and frequencies of awakening, you know, in this conscious way. So Brenda, before I jump in and share some other things about how people can get started, you know, with this, do you want to say anything around that?
No, I think that you really covered that.
Okay.
I think that it's just such a great opportunity to level up a lot of these practices, and just asking ourselves, you know, what is the evolution of this?
That's right. That's my favorite
way
thing
of being.
to suggest. That's right. That's right.
So with meditation, the way meditation used to be, what is the evolution?
That's right.
Of my meditation practice?
You know, you're making me so happy right now, right?
What's that?
I said, you know, you're making me so happy right now. You know, things I've shared with you in terms of, that's what you do have to ask is, what is the evolution, and what is the higher consciousness of this? What is the higher awakening? What is the ascended awakening aspect? What is the new connection alignment? And it is new in every moment. And so the now energy brings in the new energy continuously, that it is by moment to moment that you are becoming a new creation within who you are, and being intentional in every new moment, because the intentionality that you carry from one moment or yesterday's practices, so there's a different vibration that is in there for a newer experience, because you've grown. And that's the thing, we exponentially expand and evolve in more quantum ways than we can imagine. And it's time to be evolutionizing this and taking these evolutionary leaps into the greater expansion. And so that's where continuing to be awakened in this way is going to help people to stay awake, not just, you know, become awake for a moment, but it's almost like it's awakening to awakening to awakening to awakening. Wow, there's just continuous awakening. You're just awake. It's just never, you know, you're not sleepwalking through your agenda. Or
because the world continues to evolve, and it's accelerating. So it's evolving so much quicker than we are used to in the old dimension. It's
right,
you know, changing, and it is like we have to be awake to that evolution so that we can keep up with it.
Absolutely, because it is rapidly changing, and that's why having a conscious practice or conscious way of beingness in this format doesn't get you in the point where you're just in routine of rituals to the point where it ruins the experience, because routines can ruin because they can become just a way of doing things and not a way of beingness, of knowing actually when you need to shift and where you've reached a plateau in something. And even if you haven't reached a plateau, just when it's time to take it to the next level, when it's time to plug in at a higher vantage point, for sure. So to jumpstart this awakening consciously process with more intentionality, I'm going to share a resource, and also then I'm going to have Brenda to share about her meditation app, and then we'll share more about the opportunity to level up in a more profound way. So I mentioned 2 publications, and I'll bring those back in a little bit later, that are requirements for the experience that Brenda and I are taking these new levels of awakened conscious leaders on. But to embody and help you embrace, I should say, and expand and then embody more of this intentionality, especially as a business owner on your entrepreneurship, is I have a journal, and it's an intentional journal that's called Your Sky is Your Limit for Business Expansion. And it's a mini guide to creating limitless success through conscious business breakthrough journaling and planning. So this goes to the intentionality of being intentional about being in this higher awareness and understanding that, there are no limits. The only limits are you and your perception of what concepts mean, your reality, or what you think you're here to do. But don't limit yourself, and don't even say the sky's the limit. No, your sky is your limit. How high do you want to go up in this ascending experience and be able to make the impact and the income that you're here to make? So when you can be intentional about creating limitless success, no matter what that looks like at every phase, you want to be able to consistently create breakthroughs for yourself and in your conscious business through journaling and being able to then plan from that higher state of awareness. So that's not one of the required publications for the experience that we're going to be taking others on, but it is a great way to start to jumpstart in this level of practice around your business aspect. And then the other publications which Brenda, I'm actually going to go ahead and name those again, and then I'll have you to talk about the meditation app. So 2 of the publications that I mentioned before were Awakening Consciously, and this is by Brenda, Ancient Wisdom for the New World. And you'll learn about Brenda and her story and her awakening more consciously and what she does for others, and helping to level them up in multiple ways in the energy body, in their awareness of who they are, and just understanding that this new world contains wisdom from the ancient times, but we use it and leverage it in the new ways in this new world. And so when you actually come to this publication too, you will, upon doing that exercise of the blank slate, you can leverage the concepts and things within here in the very new energy, in a very new frequency. And so the other one that I mentioned that's by me is Becoming a Consciously Aligned Leader. And that's the Emerging Conscious Leader mini handbook for aligning with their next levels of success. And so alignment, as I mentioned before, it trumps everything. And so you need to be awakened and aligned and keep emerging in these different states of consciousness so that you can be successful, not just as a leaderpreneur, but be successful within yourself. And this particular publication also too is in kind of journal planner format, as well. So I just wanted to interject those again, and then I'll have Brenda to share about the meditation that she has, and then I can just talk a little bit about the next steps for others to take with the experience that we are providing. So Brenda, you want to go ahead and share just your thoughts and just anything that you want to say around how what you do with meditation and what you have can help support people as they're leveling up to the experience that we're going to provide?
Yeah, absolutely. My work starts around, it certainly doesn't end there, but it is encapsulated within the energy body and the chakra system. And as we have experienced, that system keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. For people that are starting out, just understanding the power of their energy body and how it can help them to clear the energetic debris that is anchoring them into the old energy and ascend into this lighter flow of ascended energy. I do offer, I was given a meditation. It was downloaded when I was meditating one day, and I've made that available to people. And it's one that you can put on and when you go to sleep. So it doesn't take time out of the day, but it just helps you go through each of those 7 main chakras in the physical body and clear the energetic debris and clear out that old stuck energy and the contracting emotions of, anger, fear, disgust, sadness, those things that really shrink our world and keep us anchored in the old energy. This meditation just naturally helps you clear those out and bring in the higher vibration frequencies from both Mother Earth and the universe and blend those into your experience. So that is free on the app, which is available at awakeningconsciously.com/app.
Nice. Yes. And I can attest that it is next level energy for sure. And it is simply I'm probably biased, obviously, the best, meditations, if not the best meditation, out there. And Brenda has had several thousands, right?
Hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands of people have used it, and thousands have reported back in over the years on the healing impact that they've received from it.
Right. And so just imagine being able to use a tool of that nature in the new energy during this time, and what that's going to do to transform and evolutionize your experience. And you want that. And it's important for leaders to show up whole. And so when we're dealing with the whole of an individual, mind, body, spirit, soul, all of everything, then they can show up and lead in this way magnificently as these demonstrators of wholeness. And so this is important. And all of this is in a more higher conscious state of being. It's a more ascendant state of being. And you have to be awakened to that, to understand that. So what we're sharing is really the foundational premises of how you get started and start to move and level up this energy. Also, what I'm going to do is invite you to listen to the companion conversational training that's called the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur, Discovering New Levels of Spiritually Aligned Entrepreneurship as a Conscious Leader in the New World. And by listening to this, you're also going to learn more about the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur experience that Brenda and I are providing, and that's going to help take you to the next level. You also find out about what's actually required and an opportunity to actually have your fee waived. And you'll learn more about some of our upcoming endeavors to help you support your continued growth as an awakened, consciously aligned leaderpreneur. So just really excited, about this experience. But everything that has been shared will be listed in the description below, and also some information about Brenda and I. But it certainly is time to be embracing and embodying this new level of expansion, because it is what is required, and it is no other way. You have to be in this new vibration and this new alignment. And just by being in the energy of Brenda and I, even just listening to not just this particular call, but also the other conversational training, so to speak, that we did, you start getting into new energy. And so play those over and over and over, because you're going to benefit from them highly. And then certainly when you're actually in the experience with us and seeing how it just shifts you quantumly in a sense, but it's really evolutionary. And that's what we really want for you, is that type of acceleration, because we really don't, one thing I don't really teach on is quantum physics, so to speak, the quantum leap. I do have works around that, but it is in the evolutionary format. I encourage people to take the evolutionary leap, because the evolutionary leap is going to land you exactly where you need to be, versus a quantum leap can shift you into a new reality or new trajectory that you're actually not prepared and ready for. And a lot of people do actually make those shifts into certain new dimensions of their experience. And then what happens is they start to struggle within there because they actually haven't really prepared themselves enough. So this is coming up, so I'm just going to go with it and speak it. Just think about when you have had an opportunity and well, let me back up. So imagine that places that you feel stuck in right now with certain energies, because you're still leveraging the old energy. And then this new opportunity comes up and you've been waiting for this, but it's on another frequency. And though it's there, you shift into that experience without having really become a full vibrational match to be able to carry out the fullness of that experience. I want to make a distinction here, because I know in a lot of teachings, they teach you to become a vibrational match to the reality. Well, you can actually become a vibrational match to something. And just because you become a vibrational match to it doesn't mean you have the sustainability once you actually get in there. But what can happen is that if you can start leveling up prior in the new energy, become a vibrational match to the whole of the experience. And so Brenda knows this, because we both have used this analogy in many areas where people become a vibrational match to the lottery, and they become a vibrational match to higher success. And then once they're in that space, instead of the space leveling them up a certain way, they're still in that old energy. And why are they still in the old energy? Because they did not accurately prepare to be in the full vibration of the experience. They prepared enough through thought and visualizations and different things to align with it and become a match to it, but they're not a match to the whole of the experience. So that's a whole nother teaching, but I felt guided to actually share that, Brenda.
Yeah.
So
I trust your guidance.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's part of the awakening aspect, so that people understand this is why you need to be anchoring and ascending in this wisdom now, so that you are not vibrationally a match to the information and the revelation, so you can start the transformation, but the whole of the manifestation. That is what we're here to bring. That's why we're doing calls like this, to actually prepare the vibration and the energy, so that when you're ready for this newer, because you actually are ready, don't get me wrong, you are ready in a state of awareness because you've aligned with it, but we want you to be able to get out ahead of what you're going to need to continue this as you are in it, and not wait till you get in it to find out, do I have what it takes? We're pre-paving that energy for you now, for this alignment and this awakening to be a more consciously aligned leader-preneur.
It's just so timely right now, and so needed. And I'm excited to bring people through, to make this available to the masses, because up until now, it's only been certain people that have been able to step into this new energy, and everybody has to be there. We have to get everybody there into this new level. So
no soul left behind, right?
No soul left behind. And I tell, I really encourage people to become a really avid vibration seeker. That they need to understand the importance, because this is something that has never been taught to us. We've never been taught in any of our education about vibration, about frequencies, about energies. and it is mandatory for this new evolution. So learn about it, understand it, and seek that higher vibration. Always be a higher vibration seeker.
Absolutely. That's right. Of this new continual expanding energy, because it doesn't stop, and if you had any mantra to just continue to replay, repeat, and rinse and repeat and replay in your mind is, that the awakening that gives birth to another awakening that gives birth to another awakening, and just hear that continuously, because it will allow you from moment to moment to keep syncing up, because what's taking place is that we are starting to catch up with our evolution and the evolution and progression of what is the new now experience, that I call it the new now testament. It is what is the testament of this now time that sets up the eternal continuum, and that is individuals being these high-level co-creators of their experience. And it starts with leaders and being able to take their rightful places in the marketplace in this entrepreneurial spirit, and then being these high impact influencers, and then just continuing with this. And like Brenda said, be that high vibrational seeker. And when you are that high vibrational seeker, just like people are truth seekers, you got to seek, what is the truth of this higher vibration for me now? Everything is about the now, the no other way, the now moment, as if the past doesn't exist, the future is still suspended, but not really, but we just kind of put that out for the moment and just be present, so that it actually all can just merge together. The ancientness of who you are in the now relevancy, and then the emerging you, all of this cohesively being in concert in one now moment, because in 5 more seconds, we're already in the future, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we are expanding exponentially. We are expanding in that way. And when we reach a certain summit of ourselves, then we will start to see where things aren't coming in so fast to us. Because our bodies and our ways of being have been transformed, and we're able to receive this just as we're breathing air, instead of feeling kind of inundated by the newness. And that's a whole nother teaching that, Brenda and I will expound upon, but you'll hear more about those things when you join us within the Consciously Awakened Leader-preneur. And that too is just a starting point of that experience, because we keep ascending you. So Brenda, I'm going to turn it over to you to, wrap us up with any final thoughts and words, and just about this experience, or anything that's coming to you now. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is always it's so enlightening to have these conversations with you, AliNICOLE. And I think what really emerged here is that, the time is now. The time is now to start evolving, to let go of those attachments that hold you in that heavier energy, and just step into this new way of being. Ask yourself, what is the evolution of every practice that I have? Every time you go into, to do journaling or meditation or setting your goals in the old energy, just start it out by asking, what is the evolution of this practice? How does this take me into the new world and into this new energy? And in doing that, just, and it doesn't take long. It's just, I think when you ask openly, you'll be shown, and you'll get, it's slow at first, so that it's not that people are going to be dumped into this high energy before they're ready for it. The whole work, the whole point of the work that we're doing is to prepare them, is to meet them on their side of the bridge, take their hand and walk them across into this new way of being. It's not to push them off the cliff and hope that they survive. So we need to walk them across there. And that is the essence of the training that we're doing, of helping people awaken consciously to this new way of being. And it's a beautiful journey. There's the people that are showing up for it are absolutely incredible. We talk about like mission-minded people. this is where you find them. This is where the
Mm-hmm.
people are collecting and congregating in order
Yes.
to create this new world. So, we really are in that phase of reimagining, recreating, and revitalizing our existence on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I just welcome anybody who wants to join us. You're going to have
Yes.
all of the ways to do that in the notes. And
Yes.
excited, I'm so excited to see this evolve into the new world and continue to evolve. Thank you, AliNICOLE, for a wonderful chat and wonderful information that you always bring to these. Thoroughly enjoy sharing this space with you.
Thank you. I enjoy you as well.